My name is Peter Florence, and you will understand me much better through the work of my friends the interpreters, because that is the limit of my Spanish. It's a great honor to welcome Ian McEwan to Bogota this evening, and we're all grateful to BBVA for their sponsorship of this event. We are going to talk for 40-45 minutes, then Ian is going to read a little bit from his novel on Chesil Beach, and then he's very kindly agreed to take questions from the audience, which we will have translated if they come in Spanish and not if they come in English. Ian, this novel, which is set crucially in England and in 1962, is very particularly located on Chesil Beach. Could you, for I think an audience will be less familiar than an English one, identify on Chesil Beach and explain a bit what that means?
Yes. Could I also, before I answer that question, ask one, which is, could you lower these lights just a little bit? Just a tiny bit. Louder. Oh, there's a PA system here. There we go. How is that? Okay, louder and less bright. How about that? Okay. Anyone out there? Oh, anyway.
Sounds like a horrible description of me. Louder,
yes,
and less
louder
bright.
And less bright. Well, Chesil Beach is quite an extraordinary geological feature. It lies off the coast of southern England, on the English Channel, the county of Dorset. It's a shingle beach that runs for 20 miles, a long finger of shingle. It's bound on one side by the English Channel and by the other side by a saltwater lagoon known as the Fleet. It's very hard. I'm a keen hiker, and I can tell you that it is one of the most boring and difficult hikes you can make because walking on shingle is never very easy. You can't change your mind about the walk 10 miles in because without swimming across a wide lagoon. The sea itself is very dangerous for swimming, and that's very fortunate because it's kept this beach pristine. There aren't hotels on sunbeds and people playing football on it. It's only, I'd say, 300 meters wide, and it looks impressive. If ever you're coming into land at Gatwick, you're sometimes taken over that stretch of the southern coast. You'll see it running east-west, a wonderful, precise finger of land.
And whilst not being a wasteland, it's a bleak location, almost a parody of a romantic beach location.
Well, it has a kind of beauty. There's no question to it, because it's backed by low cliffs, so more or less unspoiled countryside lies behind it. So it is a beauty spot. It's a World Heritage Site. It's a site of special scientific interest. It's historically very interesting because of the dangerous currents of the sea around there. There have been many, many shipwrecks. In fact, not long after I published this novel, a huge cargo ship ran aground on Chesil Beach. And in England, we have some very funny laws about shipwrecked boats. Anything that you can find on them is yours. And this was a container ship. It contained, notably, the complete contents of the house of a British diplomat who had been posted from Sweden to South Africa. The word spread around across southern England as far as the Midlands, and people swarmed in their bikes and pickup vans and helped themselves to TV sets, and there was a consignment of 400 Honda motorbikes, and the British diplomat's house, the entire contents, the sofas, the television sets, the family photo albums, all vanished. And the police simply watched, because these are laws dating back to the 17th century, and somehow this loophole has never been closed. So it is a beach of great attraction historically, and yes, it's got a certain wilderness about it. We don't have much wilderness in England, especially in the south. So it is one of our very few wild places.
Now, your novels, particularly Enduring Love and Child in Time and Atonement, are all celebrated for absolutely compelling beginnings, the provoking or inciting incident that drives the plot. I'm assuming with this book that the hook that you were working from was the ending rather than the beginning.
I always knew where I would end, which was a young couple only 5 or 6 hours into their marriage, fatally failing to reach each other and understand each other, both in their very different English ways, incapable of having a real row, but actually having something of a confrontation on that beach and never seeing each other again. So, I mean, that was my lodestar. That was where I was sailing to. But that was only after I'd spent a lot of time wondering how to write a novel on the premise of what would a marriage night be like for two young people, quite well-educated, in 1962, who were both sexually virgins. And surely there are 200 novels covering this subject. Surely. There is so much comedy and tragedy available in this moment of self-discovery and physical self-discovery. But I couldn't find any. So I thought, well, I shall have a try. And then at that point I thought the beginning is going to be crucial. And I wrote the first sentence. I notice we don't have the book. Is that all right?
I've got a copy.
I feel reassured, because I don't have it, not the first, not all of this novel by heart. So I thought, I'll write this, I'll take my lead. All us writers do depend from everything that's gone before. I take my lead from Chekhov. Chekhov starts his stories often so beautifully and precisely by telling you, by raising the curtain precisely on who these people are. And so I wrote, they were young, educated, and both virgins on this their wedding night, and they lived in a time when a conversation about sexual difficulties was plainly impossible. And I thought, and it took me a long time to sort of arrive at this sentence, but I thought, now I have a bedrock. Now I can proceed. I didn't even know at that point what time I was referring to.
Really?
I just thought, well, I'll find a difficult time. Well, because all times are difficult if you're both virgins and it's your wedding night.